Hi. Um, let's have a little chat. This is probably a Dear Diary moment, but sometimes I like to get on here and pretend this is my diary, and I just like to share sometimes. So I would like to share something with you all, and it's about motherhood. As most of you know, if you've been around for a bit, you know that I have a 4 month old, and his name is Roman. And he is quite literally the light of my life. He has changed everything about life for me. And he's a good baby. He is healthy. He's happy. And what more could a mother ask for her children? But yesterday we had a little bit of a hiccup. And if you know me personally, you know that I struggle with patience a little bit. And I firmly believe that when we have children, that our children are meant to teach something to us or show us things that about ourselves that perhaps we need to work on. And patience is the thing my son teaches me. And, amongst some other things, but patience being the biggest one. And I have discovered now that perhaps he could be going through a 4 month sleep regression, which I don't know much about, but you bet your ass I will be researching it high and low for the next couple of days. So normally he takes a couple naps throughout the day. And yesterday he woke up around 6:30. It was my day off. Didn't have any plans, just hang out at home, chill. Okay. And collectively the entire day, he slept maybe 2 hours. So as you can imagine, if you have children or know anything about this kinds of stuff, you can imagine that he was quite tired, probably like delirious. And there were a few times where I had almost gotten him down for a nap, and then he would wake himself back up, and he is discovering his voice more now as well. So he's doing this yelling thing. So when I would lay him down to take him for a nap, he would be content for a few minutes, and then he would start yelling, and then he would start crying, and I would try to soothe him, and I would put on white noise. Then I tried to give him a bath, and it just was like he was just past the point of being tired. So, and obviously he can't regulate his emotions, and he's not understanding what's going on. So it was just a very stressful situation for everyone involved. So I am not somebody who typically asks for help, other than, my boyfriend, if he's home and I want to go take a shower or paint my nails or, do something for myself, I'll ask him to take over. But other than that, I try to handle everything myself, as I do with pretty much everything. I like to be independent. So yesterday, I was feeling like nothing I did was working, that I couldn't comfort my own son. So there was a lot of like mental, emotional stuff that I was kind of starting to experience there. And then, feeling like a bad mom a little bit because I couldn't comfort him. And anybody who I would trust alone with my son lives about an hour away from me. So I had reached my point where I had done everything other than put him in his car seat and drive around, but I was microseconds away from texting my mom and saying, can you please come up and watch Roman so that I can leave the house and just drive around and cry? Because that's truly all I wanted to do in the moment. I wouldn't go as far as to say I felt like a failure, but I just felt like nothing I was doing was working. And I was feeling a little emotionally charged and overwhelmed from the day before. He was seeming kind of fussy, and the same way he was yesterday, the day before, but it was manageable. And yesterday, even though I had to take a moment, he was fed, he was safe, I put on Paw Patrol, and I had to walk away and come up to our spare bedroom where I, get ready and I have my clothes and stuff in here. And I just sat down at my vanity in my chair in complete silence in the dark. And I just cried because I was having a moment where I just like truly felt like a buildup of emotions and I just simply needed to release. And I feel like since becoming a mom, it just has given me this new perspective on life, a new outlook on life. I look at things differently. I look at all my relationships differently. You just, at least for me, I look at everything so much differently. And, I try to look at I try to look at how I want to show up in the world as a mom, as a partner, as a friend, all of it. And I haven't had a good cry in a while. So yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I had a little bit of a release. And then he had fallen asleep and I decided to take a shower so I could just wash off. I'm a big energy person, you know what I mean? So I just, took a shower and really took my time and just it's going to probably sound silly, but just imagined all of those feelings and all that stuff just kind of washing off of me. And then yesterday, and I felt better, but then yesterday it just kind of was a little bit of a snowball into yesterday. So I had just reached that point. And I will say for the first time, I felt like I couldn't manage my own child on my own. And perhaps that was because I was already feeling emotionally charged and overwhelmed from the night before, and my boyfriend was gone all day working. He left around 5 o'clock in the morning. And I started thinking about other things first of all, I feel like I need to say, I love being a mom. I wouldn't change anything about it. Like I said, he is truly the light of my life. But I'm really struggling to try to find some balance in between having the identity of now being a mother and not letting being a mother be all consuming or be my complete identity, because it's so important for me personally to have the time by myself to do the things that I love and enjoy, separate from my son, because if I don't, I feel like I can't show up and be the mom that I know I can be and that my son deserves to have. So perhaps maybe I'm sharing this because someone else can relate to it, but yeah, I'm really struggling finding balance and feeling like I'm not able to fully express my emotions or my feelings because I need to show up and be strong for my son and as a supportive partner. And it's not that my boyfriend makes me feel like I can't talk about these things. He encourages it, to be honest, but he has his own stuff going on too. So it's almost like, what do I do other than just handle it myself? And I have friends, people that I can rely on, but for whatever reason, I'm just choosing to not do that. So instead, I'm coming to the internet, to strangers, to talk about it. But I don't know, maybe I feel inclined to share my little story because someone can relate to that. But yeah, I'm just trying to find a little bit of balance between motherhood and still having my own individuality separate from being a mom. And yeah, so, and also I just get a little emotionally charged sometimes where I just get pretty emotional and not really sure where it's coming from. And, perhaps this means that I should email my therapist or write in my journal, which I probably will still do because that will make me feel better. But anyways, I guess partially also wanted to share because I know I'm not alone in this, and it's a learning curve and just, moving through the motions, but also a reminder to take care of yourself and your mental health, because I am dealing with a bit of postpartum anxiety now and a little bit of health anxiety. And then when all of that starts to spiral and I start to spiral a little bit, that turns into a little bit of depressy. So working on all of that. Everything's kosher, guys. I just needed to vent. I just feel like transparency is important and honesty is important. And not everything is all rainbows and butterflies and doing skincare and, whatever else I post that makes it seem like everything's all happy and exciting all the time, because it's not. And vulnerability is important. It's a strength and not a weakness. So perhaps maybe somebody needed to hear that as well. And yeah, I guess that's it, because I'm running out of time, so I can't ramble anymore. So if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys when I post next. Okay, bye.